I am the daughter of a migrant from the south to the north. And it's important because it was part of my education. I'm one of the few, the only one in Italy, but few on the international level who studied Hamás as a political movement. And the fact that it was related also partially on Palestinian refugees gave me the opportunity to use my gaze as the daughter of a migrant to understand also some of the dynamics inside Hamás. When I lived in Cairo and I lived in Jerusalem, I chose to live very close to a market, because my way to understand the reality was through the maternal part of my family, the farmer's part. So it was not only recognizing the role and the influence of being part of a farmer's family, but also say it's important to use that gaze in order also to understand the political developments in the area, in such a profoundly important area of the world. These 25 years in Western Asia, Southwestern Asia, was the understanding of the political part of the land from one side. I mean, the land is the core issue in the Israeli-Palestinian question. It's only through the land that what we understand is the land that we can understand also Gaza, also the genocide in Gaza, also the annexation of the West Bank. If you are watching what Israelis are doing and you are watching what Palestinians are not only doing, but what they think about themselves. In terms of the relation with the land, the Israelis understand and absorb the relation with the land in terms of domination and property and possess. So they can burn trees, because the question is really the soil. While for the Palestinians is a question of belonging, more important than the property. And they will not burn a tree, never, even if it is in an Israeli garden. It was different the way the early Zionism thought about the land in a very mythological way. But there was a relation with the land and with the landscape. A very, a problematic one, because they transformed the landscape. They planted 250 million of trees in over a century. They don't care about the land. They really care about the domination. And this changes a lot. Not only their behavior, but also the landscape they want to live in. When we think about the Holy Land through a Christian perspective to a Catholic perspective more than this, and we think about the art and the paintings we have in Madrid and in Rome and Florence, we see or in our churches, we see a Holy Land that is extremely European, a landscape that is completely European. When they arrived, both the Catholic pilgrims and the Jews, the Zionist Jews, they found that their imaginary of the Holy Land was completely different. They found another kind of land. So they had also to engineer the landscape. The landscape was a political tool, for example, used by Ben-Gurion, but not only Ben-Gurion, but Ben-Gurion is the most important example, to use the forests and the trees in order for the land to be occupied and not to be changed at another time. Not only covering the villages, the Palestinian villages that were destroyed, but also saying we need, as Ben-Gurion said, we need an army of trees, because the trees occupied the land. not only changed the landscape in order for the landscape to be closer to the European one. And this is the reason why you see, especially from Tel Aviv towards Jerusalem, a lot of forests that are covering all the hills, they are covering the villages. So there is not any, they erased Palestine in a way, covering Palestine with trees, and not native trees especially. After 1948, and especially after 1967, Israel acted as a settler colonial state. Now Israel is a settler colonial state. It's not only an apartheid state, but it's a settler colonial state. There is, of course, from the part of the European states, when I say European states, I say Spain, I say Italy, I say France, I say United Kingdom, I say Netherlands. There is, and there was especially, a colonial, a botanical colonialism that it was not less important than the, let's say, human violent colonialism and imperialism, in the sense that changing the landscape and especially changing the economy, we consider ourselves as the protagonists in the middle of the stage. So we are the only element on the stage. But if we are not in a theater, we are on a planet, and we are one of the elements. We know through the coronavirus pandemic that we are not the most important. We confined ourselves in our houses, and we saw with our eyes that the world went on and on and on without us, probably breathing better than before. So we have to apologize to the trees because we didn't think about our relation with them, because we used an extractivist economy to use the trees, because we didn't listen to them.